imagine the wild, wild west of 1099s and individuals that, well, I don't have to use HubSpot. Maybe, I got my own system going. I'm using Google Drive. I'm using my phone, my text. And what we did is we wanted to integrate. We wanted to go from everybody doing their own system and doing their own thing, whether it's sales activities, whether it's the leaders board, whether it's a simple recording or being able to use Zoom and track your notes and track activity. It was hard for me as a manager. And obviously, when I think of Kathy and Grant and the team, by the way, phenomenal individuals, love their personalities, very inquisitive networking. If I had a brand to go represent today, send them. They represented very well for you guys. At the same time, if I want them to be able to be equipped and, really maximize the company resources, what I hated was spending 50, 60, 80 grand in HubSpot and then nobody's using it. It's like, why are we paying for this? And then you're paying for minutes and then you're paying for all this stuff. So we wanted to maximize the resource. So the Wild West is happening. And then before that, I'm like, okay, I'm not no idea really how to organize this. I'm not an integrator. I'm not an API builder. I'm a coder, nor do I have the man hours to take all of the courses on the HubSpot Academy. And we were looking for somebody that could really come in and take all of this. I'd say the analogy of a gold chain that's been pulled so many directions that it's like a knot. And we needed to untie this knot. And it was a process. So when we met with Aaron, who was referred by a client, it wasn't just somebody who sent us an email and we said, yeah, let's answer. He was in the network seeking mentorship. He was connecting with us there, saying, I'd like to provide some value. I just want to help you guys because I respect the brand. Glenn and Paul, you guys know how big I am and how we are in relationship. That was one of my first inklings that this may be a good guy to talk to. Then we picked his brain and said, hey, man, what would you do if you were in our position? He said, I would do this. How would you build out the sales teams? And he had the sales experience and the CRM experience. One of the challenges that you have sometimes, and I've had in the past, are somebody has sales and they want to drive and sell and make money, and that's the goal. Other people have the operational hat, and that's more of the organized approach and a practical approach. Aaron has both. And I did like that for his mentality because he has to respect the salespeople and he has to know that I want speed, efficiency, and money, but he also needs to bring an approach that we can sustain to scale. Then when we engaged, it was a 90-day scope. And what we ended up doing was first doing what was best right now. Okay, how are the leads coming in? How are the entry points? Where's this activity coming from? And we started to put all of these things on the whiteboard. Let's just see what this wild, wild west looks like. And then second, we did what should we do next? And then next, you guys are going to need to start using this machine and do all your calls through HubSpot. We implemented one tool called Allaware. That was a power dialer. We didn't even know what the power dialer's effectiveness could be. So now, instead of having somebody just making calls during the day and spending 8 hours making 50 calls, I could have somebody, if I showed you my activities, we have people doing 200 calls. How? Because a power dialer allows you to click next. Once you're done with the call, you save it. Next. Once you're done with the call, you save it. So now that person's activity, we eliminated jumping from screen to screen to screen to screen. They stay on one screen and just keep going, keep going, keep going. So that was important. And then from there, the 90 days was, all right, this is what we're doing now. So we're doing next. And here's what's going to be best. And we've stuck to that best setup since we departed working with Sales Momentum. Because we liked and it was effective what they did for us. Then we hired our own, chief technical officer. We built an in-house team, and Aaron now kind of gives feedback, and we go to him for some, mindsets and things that he's doing. But that 90-day process, that's what we wanted to do. Now, some teams and some companies, they need a longer process. For us, it was like, I'm here, and Patrick has a team, and we're going to hire inside, help us kind of develop our team as well. But what it was in the moment to what we did next. And then now we have the best setup for us. From the moment I get a lead that comes into the Vault conference, they submit a form. That form goes into Slack, and Slack will say you have a new lead. The lead is in HubSpot, and the workflow in the round robin assigns it to a different rep, like a roulette, right? This is who's next. That person calls it, and I as a leader can go into HubSpot and see all of the activities and what's happening in the world of sales And that's kind of what, Aaron left us with. From there, was he with us for half a year or a full year? No. Why didn't we re-engage? People ask me that all the time. We like having an in-house team. Some companies are set up to have an outside team. I work with a gentleman named Patrick Bedavid. You may have heard of him, and he's very competitive. And he wants to build an in-house. And my guys are going to work here. I don't want remote. But some companies, they have different. Our business model, especially as a 2-year startup, we kind of need our team to be feeding and getting that culture. So that's kind of what made sense. However, since then, Aaron has been to every event that we've had. He was recently the only sponsor at the sales leadership event. So Glenn, when you asked me first, it was natural for me to say, there's one guy in mind. His name is Aaron, and he speaks our language. He loves people and entrepreneurs as much as we do. And obviously, from knowing you and Paul, the way you guys lead your team as a family and as a unit, the last thing you want is to bring some, wolf into the farm that's going to destroy your prized possessions called people. This is a good guy that, is going to put something in place, but he's been vetted out from us as a character person. So I don't know how much more I can say, trying to give a little bit of context, story, and then practical feedback.
From where you were a year ago before Aaron started to where you are today, how are your sales? Have your sales doubled, tripled? Is it better organized? Have you, at the end of the day, have you seen a huge increase in your revenue and your sales?
Yeah, and I can't give Aaron the credit for the podcast or the eyeballs or the lead generation. That wasn't his role.
Correct.
But when it comes to the machine and speed, it's a night and day difference. And the biggest thing I think is the fact that we've had record breaking months. Since the moment I came here in June, Aaron engaged with us maybe July or maybe around the same time that I was coming up here. It was weird because I was just coming up and he was coming in. I think the same month. Yeah, our numbers were not what they are today. And I do credit a big part of the speed of our growth to having a better integrated machine. But there is a big element of the revenues increasing because the system is set up properly to maximize revenue. As HubSpot is phenomenal for us right now. We are, eventually going to build our own thing. Again, I work with Patrick Bedavid, and he's not okay being a renter. He eventually wants to own his real estate. But that's a project that just takes. At PHP, we had proprietary software, and then he built his own, CRM called Bamboo. But HubSpot for us today, for Bedavid Consulting, it works very well.